Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us here on the Amazon Live platform, we do welcome you guys to the broadcast, especially because we're kicking off our Prime Day coverage that's going on all today as well as tomorrow, and even some special things for you guys on Thursday. So make sure you guys are staying tuned. If you're new to us here, make sure you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, you will see some of the books by our next guest. And I was just learning before we went live here, she's been very busy since she and I last communicated with books, not only, of course, that you guys have heard about, like Contempt. I have it highlighted in the carousel for you guys on Amazon, but also some children's books as well that she's released this year. I'm going to get into that. Our guest is Becky DeWitt. Becky, thank you again for joining us again.
Thank you, Cyrus. It's so good to see you again.
The pleasure is definitely all mine. I want to also welcome those tuning in on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. If you guys have any questions or comments for Becky, make sure you guys do put them in the comment section. We do have the comment section open for you guys. So again, congratulations to you, Becky. A lot you've been up to since we last communicated. What has it been like for you, Becky, to continue to write stories and to see the way the readers are responding to them?
Well, thank you. It's good to be back with you. You know, sometimes when you just start writing, I get into that vein and I get into that flow. Since we last had a talk, I retired. So now the press is on and I'm just writing and loving every minute of it because there's a freedom to it.
Yeah. And I think, too, the interesting thing is, Becky, is that we're going to be talking about two different audiences today that you're writing for, because as I mentioned, as I held up, I have Contempt. Actually, I have it highlighted in the carousel for our audience there. A lot of people got to know you for this series, of course, books like Reason, of course, Sabotage. And now you have these books that you're writing for children. I want to start off though with books like Contempt. What came first for you? Was it the idea or was it the characters that kind of came to you first with the adult books?
Actually, the character Ariana came first and then the idea. Now, the thing about that trilogy, you know, Contempt, Reasons, and Sabotage, that is salacious writing. That genre is a novel, of course, but it's very salacious and it takes your mind a different place and you got to weave and bob and make sure all of the characters are involved. And so, you know, as I wrote Contempt, and I had a little chat with different readers and they was like, is there going to be another one? She's a gold digger. And I'm like, okay. And then Reasons came up and just added on and got a couple of twins in there. I got kidnapping, you know, I even had murder in the book, but now I had, you know, put the redemption quality in there because I'm a Christian writer. So of course, you know, I had a pastor, we got some redemption. And then by the time Sabotage came, it's another drama. Here come another baby from somewhere we don't know, but it's just very drama driven and it's drama deep. I've had people to ask me, is it going to be a fourth book? I'm like, I got to take my mind back to that place. I mean, I would have to revisit all the characters and I'm like, well, what is the plot going to be this time? You know, it is possible that I can do it, but I'm just not led to do that at this time.
Yeah. I love the way that you said that, Becky. That's a whole conversation in itself. You're not being led. Because I think so many times the mistake that so many people make is that someone will hear you ought to do ... And whether they've been led by God to do it or not, or even desire to do it themselves, they will do it because they feel like, well, hey, people are telling me I should do it, so let me do it. What has helped you to be able to find that balance of doing what you love as a storyteller, but knowing that there are seasons sometimes of the type of stories you tell?
I think I would say it's prayer because I'm really not the writer. He is, God is. And so he flows through me. I'm just a pen in his hand. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, there is another salacious book that I wrote 5 chapters in. I mean, it's salacious too. It's just like, on the verge of whoa. And I can't go back to it. I started on it 2 years ago, wrote 5 chapters, had all these characters woven, everything, cover, everything. And he took me off. And I have not, I can't even remember who's in the book, what the story plot was, but I know it was dealing with one part of the title was fivefold. So I was dealing with, cousins and family relations and people getting into the ministry, coming out of a different lifestyle. Can't get back to it until he gives me more.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. But you have been led in other directions then, Becky. And we're going to get into that when it comes to the children's books. But I want to talk about accomplishments because, even like I said, before we started the conversation here for our audience, you and I were talking. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that you had written this book and that book. Are you hearing that from a lot of people that they didn't realize, for one, that you had changed genres, but that you had also released so many other books since the trilogy?
Yes, I've had people tell me they didn't know I'd released so many books, especially people in the family and, people I used to work with before I retired. They go on Amazon and they're like, oh my God, what are you doing? How do you do this and work? You've written over 30 books. And it seems like after I retired, it just took off. It's just like, I'm just writing and releasing. So I'm on a little bit of a pause now. I'm on vacation.
Gotcha.
I'm taking a minute because it was like every 2 or 3 months I was releasing a book.
Wow.
It's a lot, and people don't realize when you go into the genre and dealing with children books, you have to deal with illustrations. And I have to have concepts given to the illustrator. You have to wait for that to get back, correction, all of those things that are involved in it.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say the switch happened because just looking at the pub dates then, Becky, for the children's book, it looks like this began for you the end of 2022. Is that right?
I would say 2021, because what happened was the Destiny Closet series, that's 6 books. And I redid the first 3. And then the next thing I know, here comes 3 more. Okay. And so, you got to contact the illustrator. So after that point, then the idea came for the book, Naveed, the Rocket Engineer.
Okay. And we're going to go ahead, if you don't mind, Becky, while you're talking, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so our audience can take a look at that one, okay? While we're talking about it there. Okay.
Yes. All right. Now, that book is a true story. It's about when I moved from New York City to Myrtle Beach. And the school area, the education system where we were living, they wanted to put him in special ed. And, we didn't do that. And as a result, he went to college. He ended up going to Clemson, getting a master's degree. He left there. He worked at Boeing, and now he's at NASA.
Wow.
And he worked on the last rocket, the one that went up, that Artemis rocket.
Right.
Yeah, he worked on that. And, even for every testing, he would send me the link, and we had like launch parties. We all looking for the booster. I was like, oh my God, So, and the funny thing about this, I gotta say this. My daughter, she was like, well, I'm not in the book. I said, I put you in the book. And my son said, and I had to put this in the book. He said, Mom, I make rockets. She makes cookies. I said, okay.
Wow.
Got to give a little balance there, Cyrus.
Right. Well, Naveed, the Rocket Engineer, we have it highlighted on the Amazon side for you guys. As you can see there on the screen as well, it's $11.99 for the paperback, or you can get the Kindle edition for $2.99. If you're a Kindle Unlimited member, though, it is free for you guys. So definitely take advantage of that. And again, so you said, and as I can see, the pub day on this is June 2021. So what was it like for you to see the response to Naveed in this book, Becky?
Well, the response from educators was very good. He even did a local interview here on a television show, and a lot of people responded. A lot of people did not know the backstory. So he gave the backstory from his perspective, which was very good. Because from a child's perspective, growing up in this area and dealing with everything that he had to deal with as far as being labeled, trying to be labeled, and then breaking out of the mold of what society in the realm of education tried to put on him. So, and then the miracle is that when people see that and they know about it now, they're like, oh my gosh. So it just tells a lot about the educational system, because you don't know what a child is capable of until he has experienced certain things. And another thing is, people have to learn that all teaching styles will not be able to motivate a child. You have to learn their different teaching styles.
Right. Exactly. Such a great point and such a great reminder for us as well. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, you all are watching Cyrus Represents here on Amazon Live as we're doing part of our Prime Day conversations. We're joined by Becky DeWitt today. She's an author of a lot of books. I went into this conversation expecting to talk about a few books, but she has a lot of books. We've added many of them to the carousel for you guys joining us on the Amazon Live side. You will see the books down below. Feel free to be able to click through those, be able to add some to your reading list, some for adults as well as for children as well. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, you guys will see there's a link that will bring you guys over to Amazon for you to be able to get them as well. So that leads us into Selah then. And there are two books here. I'm going to go ahead and go for the first one, Selah Learns the Verse. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it for our audience, and we're going to talk a bit about it as well, Becky. So talk to us about how the Selah books came about.
So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how we had to learn Bible verses for Easter. This just came out of conversation. And, we were talking about how we had to learn the verse and what we wore and everything, and old Easter speech and new Easter speech. And so all of a sudden the light bulb went off, and I was like, okay, we're going to have a little girl go to church, let her grandmother take her, because a lot of times that's what's happening. Have her grandmother take her to church, and she's just enjoying church. And then she ends up in children's church, and then she's wanting to learn verses. She's wanting to learn Bible verses. And I think what I did at the end of the book, she even had a Bible app sitting in her crib, because she's like 2 or 3 years old.
Right. Amazing.
So I thought that was important because of everything in society today. Our children, a lot of times, things that we used to do, telling my age now, growing up, they're not doing now. The pandemic kind of set us back. We're not in church. Maybe some of us are going back. We may be online. But when I was growing up, we had to learn that Bible verse every Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so talk to us about the character Selah then. I mean, how did you come up with that particular character, especially with that name that most of us don't even say when we read the
I know, right? I just came up with a cute little girl. Mm-hmm. And, because sometimes with me, I can get ideas from a character by looking at people or having an experience. And you'll see a child that's bouncing in church and always moving around. And I'm like, okay, I got that. I got the little girl. And the Selah came from the Bible in Psalms. I was like, give me a name that's not regular, And so Selah means think about this. So we have to think about little children learning verses. So that's how I got that one. Mm-hmm. And the grandma I got from a friend of mine, a lady. She was on Facebook, and I looked at her picture, and I sent the picture to the illustrator. I said, I want her to look like this.
Wow.
That's what I do sometimes.
Yeah. So for you, I think, there's so many things here, Becky, because not only are you able to entertain, not only are you able to inspire, especially now with young people, but you also are able to kind of give a blueprint, right? And what I mean by that is parents can pick up these books and say, you know what? I've been trying to encourage my child to do this. And this may be a way of making learning fun. Or my child may have been told you can't do this, you have to do this. And a book like about Naveed can help them say, you know what, look, regardless of what people may say, you can go to the stars. Is that part of your hope that you're able to entertain, but also to maybe inspire both the young person and the parent of what's possible for children?
Most definitely. Because, I talked with someone recently that he wanted to write a book, but he didn't know how. And he used to go down take the children to the space camp. I'm like, you got about 6 or 7 books. I said, you having to take children actually to visit, a NASA facility, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. So I want children to be inspired that they can do something that people say that you can't do. Just because somebody says, well, you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the knowledge, I don't have the money, but we got to be driven. We got to be driven. So, and that's how, even with Selah, the second book, Celia writes a book. A child can write a book. All you got to do is have somebody behind you, somebody to believe in your vision, and I wanted to publish a little boy's book, but he wasn't, let's say, diligent in the work that needed to be done. And, I was like, I will help you. No problem. A child wants to write a book. Let's help the child write a book. You don't know what's going to happen with a child that's writing a book.
I'm gonna go ahead
and a child's book could be turned into a cartoon. It could be turned into a movie. But let's inspire the child. Don't take away the dream.
I'm highlighting it now in the carousel for us. Celia writes a book there. Again, it is $10 in paperback. You guys can see it there. Also $2.99 for the Kindle edition of it as well. And again, I think this is such a great message for our audience here because it reminds them, Becky, again, of the importance of teaching young, teaching early, and encouraging individuals. One thing I can say, I made a post on Facebook recently. There's nobody in my family that does what I do. And yet I've never had anyone in my family tell me I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And I think even when we don't understand, if our child tells us, I want to be an author, I want to be an artist, I want to go to the moon, I think that encouragement is so important for them, to let them know that you believe in them. So talk to us about that. What do you hope these books do when it comes to building belief?
I would hope that the parents would take notice of what the child's dream is, simply because of the fact, I remember years ago when my son was a little boy, he told me he was going to work at NASA. He had that in him. And today we talk about it. He was like, you remember I used to read all those books, all those space books, and he would be talking to me about the string theory of the universe. Of course, I wasn't able to comprehend everything that he was trying to tell me, but he was very interested as a child. So if he wanted books on space and things of that nature, I bought the books. I bought the magazines. If he wanted to read it, let them read it, because you, as a parent, just because you can't comprehend doesn't mean that the child's not comprehending. You don't know what's in the child. Because if I had listened to what people said and tried to label him, he would not be where he is today. So take that as an initiative to always support your child, regardless whether you know what's going on or not. Support them in the dream.
Yeah. Such a great reminder for us all, I think, Becky. Again, everyone, Becky DeWitt is our guest. We're talking to Becky not only about her love of storytelling, but also being able to inspire as well. So, Becky, I know you said you're on a break. Mm-hmm. When people say that, I always wonder, are they really on a break? Because even with me, when I say I'm on a break, I'm not really on a break. I've just stepped away for about 30 minutes. And then, I'm back. Do you have something in mind that when you come back, whenever that is, from your break, that you want to be able to do or write?
Well, actually, while I was on the break, while I'm still on the break, I was talking to a young man who was my inspiration for the book, Coding My Future.
Okay.
And we were having a conversation, and as I was talking to him, I was getting inspiration. I was like, I hadn't planned to do another book. I hadn't planned to do another book, but as I'm talking to you, things are popping up. And how I got that book was a young man locally, a family member, wanted to learn coding, and he was doing it online and was being frustrated. Well, at the time, I was in school at NYU in the Television and Essentials program, learning some things, and I had to do a little movie. So I did a 15-minute movie, used him and his mom, wrote a script. And then after that, the light bulb's still on. So that's when I wrote the book. But the thing about it is, I was doing homework for this. I had to learn about coding because, back in the day, they did BASIC, Fortran, and things of that nature. And now they're doing Python. So I had to learn about that. And then I subscribed to something called Black Boys Code, Black Girls Code. I was just learning all these things. Right. And it was a great thing for me to learn so I could be able to put what was needed in the book. You can't write about a thing if you don't know about a thing. You got to speak the vocabulary of what you're writing about. So I had to learn about that, and it was great. So while I'm having a conversation with him recently, I was like, I took this book and I started you out in middle school, and now I got you as a CEO of a company. I mean, I took it through all of that. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And one of the great things that ideas that I put in this book, I had a thing called the Code Bus Project. And this right here, where they went back into neighborhoods. They took the yellow bus, had somebody to supply them with computers and everything, and they just went into the neighborhoods and had the kids get on the bus and called it the Code Bus Project. It's probably something real or something somebody could do, but you know how that goes.
Right. What a great thing. And again, that book's available. I have it highlighted in the carousel for you guys on the Amazon side. $14.99 is the print edition, but all of these are available in Kindle as well. Manswell, hello to you. Going to be able to see you on the Facebook side. Again, Becky DeWitt has been our guest. Becky, this has been great. It's great catching back up with you.
Yes.
You were on Prime with us a couple years ago.
Yes.
And so we're glad to be able to have you back on with us again. So whether you're looking for books for adults, like Contempt, as you guys see there, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it again in the carousel for you guys. You can get this one, the Kindle edition or the print edition, or you need books for kids. As you can see, Becky DeWitt has you covered. All of them are here on Amazon, so you can be able to go through the carousel to pick out the books that are right for you. Whether you're talking about Sela writes a book, one of the ones I've already bought that I'm looking forward to reading. Naveed, the rocket engineer, I bought that one as well while we were talking here.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Becky, so I can be able to read it. But definitely make sure you guys go to the carousel, see what books may be good for yourself or your children, and add it to your reading list as well. Becky, this was great catching back up. Let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. You know what? I'm just like somebody else told me, Becky, they just need to Google you. They can find you. They can find you if they Google you. But you know what, Cyrus? I'll come back anytime. Next year, you know how I am. Right. And listen, maybe I would have gone over to that salacious side.
Right. we
go over there.
Hey, look, but you've given us a lot to tie us over in the meantime, Becky. So wherever you take us, readers will be there. That's the great thing about you as a storyteller. So I'm glad about that. Congratulations to you again, and thanks again for stopping back by.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Keep in touch. You know we do.
All right, for sure. And we thank you all for watching here on Amazon Live as we are doing part of our Prime Day or days coverage right now here on Amazon Live. But we also welcome you guys joining us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, as well as on Facebook. A lot of great things coming up, a lot of deals that I'm excited about sharing with you guys. So if you guys are not just watching the interviews, but also looking for the products, I have you covered. I'm working with over 100 brands this week to be able to share with you guys here for Prime Day. Some things you guys have seen before, like my waterfall is on Prime Day special. It's such a good price. I think I'm going to order another one for another room in the house. But I'm going to take you guys through that as we're going through our Prime Day coverage, and also some great things for the family as well. For us guys, we have some nice clothes that's on sale, including the shirt I'm wearing right now is on Prime Day special. So look for all of that coming up right here on Amazon Live over the next 2 days in the middle of our Prime conversations that we're going to be having with authors as well. So you definitely make sure you guys look out for that. If you would, make sure you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, of course, from Becky, all the books that we were talking about are in the carousel there. So make sure you guys go through them and add them to your reading list as well. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for joining us for Cyrus Webb Presents. You all make it a great one, and you will see me again real soon. Take care.